This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions.
This is the Absolute Business Mindset podcast, created and hosted by Mark Hayward. I'm a corporate employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. This podcast will help and support you with new ideas about business. These are my thoughts, ideas, and comments. Today, we're going to talk about 4 different aspects of business and how you should conduct yourself within business. So the 4 things are: you need to be curious, you need to be excited, you need to be keen and patient. So please listen to the podcast and please feedback any of your thoughts. Hi everyone, before we go into the podcast, I just want to raise one of our sponsors. So if you are wanting to do your own podcast or you already host a podcast, I can highly recommend Libsyn as your hosting platform. That's Libsyn. It has excellent tiers in its pricing structure, so whether you are wanting limited capacity as you're a casual podcaster, or whether you want large capacity of size for a more professional podcaster, they are all available for you as a Libsyn customer. The stats are really great on the website. They can tell you where people are that listen to your podcast. They can tell you how many downloads there've been per episode and which platform, whether it's iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify, that people most enjoy your podcast on. I've used Libsyn ever since I started doing my podcast, and I would highly recommend it. I would say that the ability to be able to do all the different platforms in one go makes it really easy and really a wonderful podcast platform. I would recommend Libsyn to anyone that is contemplating going into doing their own podcasts. Back to the story. Hi everyone, this is the Mark Hayward from the Absolute Business Mindset podcast. I am here talking to you. It's just me this week, no interview this week, but we're going to talk about some really interesting subjects. So I want to talk about how to approach a situation. Now, this can be starting a new role, this can be starting a new career, a new business that you're starting. Equally, it can be refreshing the way you're approaching a role as well. Sometimes it's interesting just to think how you can be the catalyst of your own invention of being able to get to that right career position, whether it's a promotion or whatever. So the 4 things I want to talk about are being curious, being excited, being keen, and being patient. So let's start at number 1. So being curious. So I actually think being curious is actually something that should be trained at school, taught at school. It is, in a sense, it is, but I think it should be more encouraged, because the beauty of being able to be curious is that you're wanting to learn, you're wanting to understand what's around you, how to do things, be able to be keen to be able to deliver those things. And so an appetite for learning and developing is so important. And so when you see the kids at school that are really curious, really want to learn, really want to develop skills, I always think that's a really positive view. But you can lead that onto more on the side of when you're being curious at work. So say you're starting a new job, you need to know everything you need to know about the job. So you need to go in and you need to be able to think about the situation, but you want to be able to develop skills and your ability to be able to learn. Equally, you need to be able to ask questions, and being curious is all about asking questions. So you've got to go in and you've got to be able to work out what the questions are that you need to be answered. So that's critical of being curious, is being able to ask questions. My next point is about being interested. And I suppose some people, if you're in an early stage of your career, you might think that you're not necessarily interested in that role. I would say if you're not interested in the role, then you're probably in the wrong role at that time, because you need to, and you should want to be interested in your role and learning, and all these build on from each other. What you'll find is these 4 points I'm going to talk about actually build on each other. They're not independent from each other. So if you're thinking, well, I'm excited to be in my role, but I don't want to ask any questions because I don't I'm not sure what the answers will be. These are all building blocks. So you need to be interested in your role and interested in being able to deliver high quality stuff. Equally, this might sound obvious, but sometimes we need to reaffirm the obvious. You need to listen to the answers. And so it's not just asking the questions, it's then being able to process, understand, and there's lots of different ways you can be able to do it. Maybe it's taking notes, maybe it's... but for me, I would say the best way of doing it in this first part of your career is be able to write notes. But you need to be able to listen to the answers and then interpret them in your own words. This is one of the things that I think people don't do enough. They parrot, copy down exactly what they say in a parrot format instead of actually thinking and how they can actually process what that person has said to them and put it in their own words to be able to understand it. And then equally, the last point about being curious is being able to build knowledge. So this is a career, a job, a business, whatever it is. You need to be able to build knowledge, and you do that by wanting to learn, asking questions, being interested, listen to answers, and that builds on all of your knowledge. So those 5 things are critical for you to be able to build on the new experience that you're going to be in. So go out there and be curious, everyone. Go out there and win the day by being curious. Okay, so the second point I want to talk about is be excited. So being excited means that you're interested. And again, we're sort of building blocks again. It's being interested and having that little buzz about being in that role and being like, I really want to be able to deliver. I really want to be able to learn and build on my knowledge and be a better employee, a better businessman, whatever it is. The second thing about being excited is being enthusiastic. Now, there is a fine line, in my view, between toppling over, being over enthusiastic and, sorry to say, annoying, and being enthusiastic, because you go in and you want to work hard, you want to get involved, you want to be enthusiastic about your role. So it's all about giving that perception of people that you're interested in what they're saying and you want to learn from them. And being excited, you want to work hard. So that might mean early mornings, that might mean late nights, that might mean being able to deliver on time frames. But the early stages of this, you really just want to be diligently collecting your notes, diligently talking to people, asking questions, building knowledge. And these are all so critical skills for starting a new job or a new business. And then you've got to get involved. There's an argument that you hang back and understand the landscape, which is absolutely true, but you've got to get involved. You've got to be able to be able to, even if it's just a very, very simple thing like doing a spreadsheet or answering or working out how to use a spreadsheet when you're collecting information. So you've got to get involved. You've got to be able to be enthusiastic. So again, for being excited, you need to be interested. You've got to show interest in what you're doing. To build on that, you've got to be enthusiastic, and you've got to be like, I want to be here, I want to deliver, I want to get things done. But you've got to work hard. You've got to, if it is long hours, if it is early mornings, whatever it is, or late nights, you've got to be able to work hard, and that is critical. You should never be outworked by anyone in that office. And that is early stages, that is late stages, that is any stage of your career. You should not be being outworked by anyone. I know it's controversial. Everyone wants to talk about work-life balance, and it's important, but I won't stray too much into work-life balance. For me, is finding time to do things with my kids and being able to find windows to go and do things with them. Equally, I don't want to be the first person leaving the office. So you've got to work hard. Got to get there, you got to do your stuff, and you've got to work hard and get involved. So get involved in projects, whether that's leading projects, whether that's being involved in projects, you've got to work hard and be involved. The next point I want to talk about is being keen. Now, keen, I've actually put a slight twist on it because there is a bit of repetition in some of this. Being keen is a little bit more than being excited or curious. Being keen for me is wanting to build relationships with people. Being keen to be able to listen, understand, nod, know what they're talking about, build knowledge, But equally, it's just being out there and building relationships with people. So you've got to be showing people that you're keen to learn, you're keen to understand, you're keen to appreciate the office dynamic, the type of clients, the processes or procedures that you've got in internal roles. So you've got to build relationships on top of everything. And this is something so underrated. So many people, particularly in the tech industry, which are more interested in delivering, and they forget about building relationships and being with people and understanding, learning, making people feel good about themselves, making people feel good about you. It's all a mutual benefits that come from building relationships. So crucial, so important. You need to think about that. Smiling. I know that sounds silly, but people respond better to people that smile. It's a fact. It's a fact. Whether you're taking a cup of coffee from a coffee shop, whether you're buying something in a retail environment, whether you're going out and asking for a consultant to do some of your work, if that person sits in front of you and smiles, it just makes you feel good. It's a very simple thing. Well, the old saying, it takes more energy to frown than to smile. And I think so many people forget that. And actually, building trust is a lot on being able to influence and persuade. And one of the best ways that I know is to smile. So when you're talking to someone, not over the top, don't grin at them or laugh at them. That's too far. But just like showing enthusiasm about what they're saying, and show a bit of a smile and a nod. So the next point is about nodding and listening. So you've got to show in the new role that you're actually listening to them. And one of the clearest ways of being able to listen to someone is a nod. So just a gentle nod. It's not anything too exaggerated or too slow. It's just when people are talking to you, you're nodding to say, I get you. I understand what you're saying. That's fine. Let's keep going. Tell me more. Build on that relationship. As you can see, every time I'm having this conversation with the camera, I'm nodding. I'm affirming. And if they were saying to me things like, oh, well, I think we should be able to build a team or be able to deliver this project, just a slight, gentle nod, nothing too elaborate, just be able to build confidence in yourself if you know what you're talking about. Next one is about taking notes. So as you can see, this keen bit is slightly different because I didn't want to repeat some of the stuff. Taking notes is so important. Now, I am of an age where taking notes was written. I know the millennial generation is more taking notes on laptops or iPads or phones or whatever. And to be honest, whatever works for you. For me, the physical writing things down is actually a very valuable thing. But if you always learn with a laptop in front of you and that was the way you learn, then just do what you need to do. But the actual evidence of you taking notes is actually really important as well when you're in a new job and in a new role, because you've got to be able to show that you're interested, you're keen, all these things we've talked about, building knowledge, listening, answering questions, asking questions. And one of the things that makes people feel confidence in you is that if you're taking notes as well. So a lot of people don't do this, and it frustrates me. I want you tomorrow in your job, get a notebook. I've got one here. Do it on your laptop, whatever it is, but take notes. Listen to people. If you're doing something new, taking notes will not harm your progression, but equally your education as well in the role or whatever you're doing. So really important. And then we're on the fourth section, which is about being patient. So Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't do everything in a week. You need to be able to show patience. And sometimes you go into a role and you know it. Bish, bash, bosh, I know everything, I can deliver. But I would say most roles, there is a stage of being able to learn, understand, etc. And I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about it. It takes time. Everyone wants to be able to deliver it in a week, but in most cases you can't. So I would say be patient, be good on yourself, give yourself a break. Don't rush things. If you're doing these other three things, being curious, being excited, and being keen, this bit of being patient will mean so much more, because you'll be able to deliver because you're done doing these other three things, and B, you're being perceived to being able to deliver because you're doing those other things. So don't rush it. Take your time, wait your time. There is always, you've got to believe there's always, your time will come. Whether that is client facing, whether that is leading a project, whether that is leading a team, whether that is delivering, whatever it is, just give yourself a break. You'll get there. You've got to believe it's your time at some stage. And sometimes it's because of people leaving, paternity leave, maternity leave, whatever it is. Sometimes you need that sort of catalyst to really push you. But give yourself a break. Be calm. It's all right. There's plenty of time for this. Don't push yourself too hard. And I think you need to be able to understand that it will come. If you're doing those other 3 points, I'm just repeating myself because it is critically important at this point. If you're doing those other 3 things, give yourself a break, because you will get there. Working hard, delivering, listening, asking questions, taking notes, all these things link together that you will be able to deliver. You've got to believe that you'll be able to deliver. So I think it's critically important that you do that. Okay, so that's the end of the podcast. I've got a couple of things I want to talk to you about. So further on from Libsyn, our sponsor for today, what I want to say to you is that when you go onto Libsyn and you want to try and get to your free time, what you need to do is enter in the promo code MJH, which are my initials, Mark James Hayward, MJH, into the promo code. So what this will give you is the rest of the month and the next month for free. But what you've got to be careful on is that you don't start on the first of the month. That will not work. You can't have 2 full months. But if you did it on the second or third of the month, you'll get the rest of that month and the next month for free. So there's only one other condition on that. So don't do it on the first, do it on the second or third. And don't change the type of account that you're using. So if you change the type of account, it will null and void your free month and a bit, virtually 2 months, a month and a half, whatever. So check it out. Libsyn's great. I love it. I think it's a great platform. As I say, I use it every single day for my podcast. So do check that out. Equally, you can find me on Instagram, Mark J. Hayward, on Twitter, Mark Hayward 169, on Facebook, Mark Hayward, YouTube videos, please check them out, Patreon, by all means check that out as well. I'd love you to get involved in that. And equally, if there's anyone that wants any business coaching, by all means reach out to me on my website, which is www.absolutebusinessmindset.com, or DM me on Instagram and we can get things set up for you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.